Hi everybody, I'm Paul Ducklin from Naked Security here at Sophos. Welcome back to our What to Do When video series. Today's topic is what to do when you get caught up in a data breach. And I did say when you get caught up rather than if, because unfortunately having personal data leaked seems to be par for the course these days, and it's more likely to happen than not. So let's start. What does it actually mean to get caught up in a data breach? Loosely speaking, it means that personal data, something about yourself, whether it's a credit card number, birthday, home address, or whatever it might be, that you entrusted to somebody else, something that they asked you to provide either because they needed it to provide you with a service or because they promised that it would enhance the service they were going to give you. You trusted it to them and they blew that trust by letting the data reach someone who wasn't supposed to see it. Typically, that happens in one of three different ways. If you're lucky, the good guys find out that a company has been sloppy with data and they find it, report it to the company, and the security hole gets closed up that allows them to see the data. You hopefully before the crooks get at it, but who can ever be sure? Another way is there is a security hole, the crooks get in first, they steal the data, they do what they want with it, and then typically when they're finished with it, they just let it loose for everybody to have a go at. And of course, the third way is what's known as the insider threat, where maybe somebody inside a company has trusted access to data that they're supposed to use with sensitivity and following procedures, but maybe they copy it onto a USB stick and run off with it. So getting caught up in a data breach means that data that you didn't intend to become public knowledge, but that you shared with somebody for them to use privately, somehow managed to leak out. And that raises the question, how on earth do you know when this has happened? How do you find out that you've been caught up in a data breach? Now, the answer is that a few years ago, it was very difficult to work this out for two main reasons. One is the company that had lost your data might not even realize it had happened, so they couldn't have told you even if they wanted to. And the dirty side of that is that in many cases, because there was no law telling them what to do, there are many cases of companies that basically found there'd been a data breach and tried to sweep it under the carpet without telling you. And that led to the rise of websites like Have I Been Pwned, which is run out of Queensland in Australia, a website that collects already breached data that's pretty much there for the public taking. So you should assume that every crook in the world has already got it. And the Have I Been Pwned website kind of makes that into a searchable form so you can go and see whether your email address, for example, has actually been leaked out by companies that you may have trusted it to in the past. So it doesn't prove to you exactly who leaked what when, but it does give you an indication that something bad happened. Fortunately, because of the fact that the Have I Been Pwned database got absolutely enormous, even though lots of people didn't even realize that their data had been breached, many countries changed their regulations to say, by the way, if you're holding personal data on someone and you're supposed to keep it private because that's the expectation and you don't, then you have to go public and tell them. And that leads to a really important question of what on earth can you do about this? Because it's not like you can be proactive by installing a firewall or an antivirus software or a web filter, wherever, on your computer, because you trusted your data to someone else and they're the ones who made the blunder. However, there are a few things that you can do pretty quickly if you do receive a data breach notification or you realize that you're part of a data breach. Firstly, if there's anything relating to password security, and perhaps even if there isn't, in the breach notification, go and change your password on that site immediately. After all, if the crooks have figured out what your password is, the sooner you change it, the less likely it is that they're able to abuse it before you get it fixed. And by the way, while you're about it, on that service, if it supports two-factor authentication and you're not using it yet, that's two-factor authentication is that system where you get a one-time code on your phone or an app that generates some digits that's different every time you log in. Turn that on because it does make the password alone less valuable to the crooks. And also, if you're not using a password manager yet, consider getting one because it makes it much easier to change your password in a hurry and to make sure that when you change it, you choose a good new password rather than just sticking a couple of digits on the end of the old one that make it really easy to guess. The next thing you should do, if there's any suggestion that financial information or transaction data may have been leaked or the crooks may have been able to get a peek at it, watch your bank statements much more carefully than you normally would. You should be reviewing your statements anyway, but don't get caught out. If you've got reason to think that it's more likely that you could be defrauded now than 3 months ago, then use that as a reason to be that little bit more vigilant. The third thing you need to know, and this is a difficult thing to say, but it's the truth, you should probably reevaluate your relationship with the company that had the breach. In other words, if you trusted them and they let you down and they don't have a good explanation and you don't believe that they're going to get better, then maybe it's time to move your business somewhere else. And the last thing you need to do is, whether you stick with the company or you don't stick with the company, if they promise in that email that they sent you that they are going to investigate further and there will be follow-ups, keep your eyes and ears open for future data, because that can give you more information about the things that may or may not have been breached. And that will tell you the sort of care that you need to take. So the point with data breaches, folks, is that it's kind of difficult for you to prevent your data getting breached, because once you've given it to somebody else, it's up to them to do the hard work of keeping it secure. If they let you down, follow the tips we've given you and make sure that you reduce the chance that the crooks who've got your data can actually do anything bad with it. So thanks for listening. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do so, and be sure to click on the bell icon so that when there are new videos posted, you will find out right away. Thank you very much, and stay secure.